Hello everybody, video here for you today. This is the retro no-cap recap of The Curse of Oak Island, Season 8, Episode 6, called Seeing, S-E-A. Seeing is Believing. Originally aired December 15th, 2020. If you missed any of my recaps of previous and future episodes, there's a link to my Oak Island playlist in the upper right. Let's get into it. Previously on The Curse of Oak Island, people have been looking for an incredible treasure for 230 years. The core drilling program is continuing in the Money Pit area to try to determine the layout underground so that they have the best chance to find the original Money Pit shaft and or the chapel vault. They are unable to sink caissons as planned this season because of the delay in island operations due to the pandemic. The team's thinking is that because of so much digging and drilling in the Money Pit area since the discovery of the Money Pit in 1795, the vault has been pushed down or slipped into a lower cavity. Terry says there's an open space in the bedrock in this location, over 200 feet below the surface and beneath bedrock. This is where they are currently drilling, and Terry says that the most promising area would likely be a bit more to the east, which is towards the left in this picture. Geographic Information Systems expert Erin Helton makes a second visit to the war room via video conferencing. Her first visit was the previous week when she presented her findings of what she believed to be the two anchors on the alleged copy of a Templar map given to the team years prior by Zena Halpern. The team did find boulders at both locations with the GPS coordinates Erin provided. Using the anchors, drilled rock locations and other points on the island for various alignments, she determined that the most likely spot for any finds would be the convergence of three lines here. The team had sunk caisson RF1 the previous season and brought up wood that is from the correct time period. The center of RF1 is 3 feet west and slightly north of the yellow dot. Continuing to refine those alignments, she had requested a 3D model of the lead cross and 3D printed it. Erin believes that the cross is meant to be used with a square. As she is demonstrating via the internet, this is Marty repeating her steps. She draws lines from the foot to the arm to the head to the other arm, and that arm to the feet. Then she marks the square opening in the cross head and uses the square to extend the drawn lines. This is a map with the two anchors marked in red. The lines not only match up with the anchors, the head mark also aligns with what Erin thinks is the original stone triangle location. Discovered in June 1897 by a member of the Frederick Blair Group, the stone triangle was thought to point to the original Money Pit location. The stone triangle was destroyed by searcher Robert Dunfield in 1965 as he bulldozed a lot of the eastern half of the island. A replica has been rebuilt in the approximate spot. The original location is likely further south. Rick later says that people looking at things outside the box is how the Oak Island puzzle will get solved. Erin says that she is still investigating other pieces of Zena Halpern research. I've seen all of the episodes but did not remember Erin in her presentations at all, so I checked and found that she makes at least one more appearance on the show in episode 8 of this same season. Dr. Ian Spooner is back at the swamp to investigate the southeast corner to follow up on sonar scans that revealed a platform, then a drop-off that he described as a wall when the data was collected 5 weeks prior. He and Rick get on a raft and start to probe in that area. Dr. Spooner begins hitting rocks with his probing, and as they go along, he says that they are all at the same depth. Narrator Robert Clotworthy suggests that since it is bigger than originally thought, perhaps it's related to the 1200s paved area that Dr. Spooner investigated and carbon dated the previous year. Dr. Spooner stakes out the edges and declares that it was something built on purpose. They call Marty, who asks Rick why they didn't see that when they twice previously drained the swamp. Rick says because there's apparently no metal involved, and also they didn't dig. Dr. Spooner adds that there are 15 centimeters of muck on top of it, which would explain why they didn't notice it, and also pushes the date back. While they await the necessary permits to drain the swamp, they will investigate the bay waters to see if the rock feature extends to the other side of the modern-day road. Dr. Spooner has a map of what the island shoreline would have looked like back in the 1600s, shown by the darker color. And he marks in pen where it would have extended to in the 1200s. He previously concluded that the swamp was connected to the ocean in the past. They will do sonar with the help of diver Tony Sampson, which will give Dr. Spooner even more insight into what has eroded, but there are still traces of. Gary and members of the team arrive on Lot 15 to look for the ring bolts reported by Fred Nolan. Tom had told Rick that Fred removed the ring bolts, but that he thinks there may be one or two still in place. Surveyor Steve Guptill used a late 1960s survey of Dan Blankenship's that contains ring bolt locations. Steve and Doug find an area with boulders, and Gary does get an it reading about 8 or 9 inches below the surface. It ends up being the door off of a potbelly stove. Rick says that Fred Nolan found what he called a ship stove nearby. Gary says, just like with any iron object they find, they know a guy that can tell them exactly when and where it came from. Carmen Lake. Alex, Jack, and Peter pay him a visit to get that information. Carmen says that it is indeed a door off a pot-bellied stove. He also Carmen dates it to the early 1700s and says it was typical of ships in that time period. Dr. Spooner, Alex, and Tony depart Tom Nolan's dock on the north shore of the island to begin sonar scanning the Mahone Bay waters south of the swamp to try to determine if the staked-out stone road or wharf extends in that direction. Tony gives tours of the waters around Oak Island via his company Salty Dog Sea Tours. Dr. Spooner has equipped the boat with 3 different sonar devices, a down imaging scanner for directly under the boat, a side imaging scanner that captures the left and right sides of the boat, and a low frequency scanner that is capable of penetrating the thick silt of the ocean floor where clues or valuable artifacts could be buried. They see this image showing something sticking straight up that Tony says looks like a ship. He later says that there are 25,000 shipwrecks in those waters due to the shallow rock ledge in the area. It is also right off of the boulderless beach of Oak Island. Tony says they should dive it, and Alex, also a certified diver, agrees. They continue to the swamp and see this, which they will also dive, thinking it's a wharf. I'll be continuing retro no-cap recaps of Season 8 while also recapping the new Season 12 episodes late Tuesday nights as they air. All the other episodes are in my Oak Island playlist already. I'm also doing retro, no-cap recaps of seasons 2 through 4 of The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch as I have time. Seasons 1 and 5 are all done and are in that Skinwalker Ranch playlist. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe, like, and comment. Sempre avanti.